So hello guys, welcome to episode 15 of our reviving Manor Racing series. Now, the last couple of episodes, this series has really started heating up. If you didn't watch the last episode, go back and watch that because we were in Mexico. And by the way, we got our first podium as Manor Racing, our first podium individually as a driver as well on this series. So very exciting. Checo Perez managed to win it. We got the strategy call right. I've even uploaded a couple of extra videos about the amount of overtakes we managed in Mexico. It was absolutely delightful to drive. Very, very excited for what is to come. Standings wise, we're now up to P9 in the driver's standings, behind Fernando Alonso in P8. We're more looking behind us than in front, it must be said. Lance Stroll and Oscar Piastri, very capable drivers of scoring points. But what we did manage to do was get up to P6 in the constructor standings. Red Bull are still running away with it a little bit. 50 odd points in front of Mercedes, but there is a battle on for both the driver's title and the constructor's title as well, so bear that in mind. It's an exciting end to the season here. Verstappen, Perez and Hamilton all in the driver's standings fight for the drivers' championship. Very exciting indeed. This weekend we have a sprint race at Brazil, so I'm going to get through qualifying and we'll see you on the grid for the sprint race here in Interlagos.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Norris, Verstappen, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Gasly, Albon, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Lewis, Stroll, Bottas, Ollie Caldwell, Joe, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Sargent and Nick de Vries. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
Hi guys, join us on the grid now. Ollie Caldwell, P17. Are we seeing some signs of life at last for Ollie with just a couple of races left to go? Something to bear in mind. We're going to go on the soft compound tyre. I think that seems optimal for us. I think we can make our way forward from here in P14. Let's see if we can make up any positions. We have got full engine penalties for tomorrow's race, so this is just pure fun for us today in Brazil. So here we are then guys, sprint race. Let's see if we can move forward, starting down in P14. It's Charles Leclerc who will lead us away here in Brazil from Lewis Hamilton on the soft compound tyre. We've got a few cars on the softs, but we make a fantastic start, then have to brake a little bit out of it into turn one, trying to avoid any contact through this first chicane. We get up to P13 and we can see Valtteri Bottas going side by side with us there as we come out of the first chicane, out of turn 2, and on the run down to turn 3 we are losing positions, and actually Zhou Guanyu manages to get past us as well on lap 1. 8 lap sprint here and we've already lost the position. We don't seem to have the straight line speed of other cars early doors in this race. It's something I've noticed in the first couple of that first DRS straight. We're starting to have a look now to see if we can make a move on Zhou Guanyu, but just getting into the race a little bit on lap 1, it is Charles Leclerc who does lead us away, and we get a great camera angle there of the cars all swinging around that corner in the middle sector. We are quicker in the middle sector, that is our sector, but as we come to the end of lap 1 on the sprint race, it is Leclerc from Norris, Hamilton in P3, Russell P4, Perez P5, then comes Sainz, Verstappen down in P7, Alonso 8, Albon F9, and Kevin Magnussen is in P10. We're in P15 and now having a look at the back of Zhou Guanyu. Zhou Guanyu has gone to the inside. Can we make a move round the outside here? We're later on the brakes than Zhou Guanyu. We try not to get any contact, and by the time we get through that chicane we are still into P14. But look, once again we'll ride on board from Zhou Guanyu's point of view, because look at the speed difference he's got. Gets the toe, and then Esteban Ocon decides I'm going to chuck one down the inside. We manage to come round and we stay in P14 for the moment. Lap 2. Coming on to lap 3, we are side by side with Valtteri Bottas, but we've got the inside line. We are heavy on the brakes And by the time we get to that second part of the chicane, it is job done. But let's have a look once again down this straight. We can see Piastri and Gasly in front of us. But where is Valtteri Bottas? We have got the DRS, as has Bottas. We managed just about to hold it off, do we? Bottas looks like he's going to try and shut one down the inside. Doesn't manage to get the job done. Backs out a little bit. And we are up into P13. But just look how much we gain through this second sector. We do seem quicker than the AI through this sector, managing to close up to these guys a little bit. We've run a little bit wide there, don't quite make the apex, but on lap 3 up to P13. You join us back coming on to lap 5, and it's that familiar foe. Oscar Piastri goes defensive. We actually put a tyre on the grass trying to get towards the outside. Can't manage to get the job done, and Oscar Piastri manages to stay in front of us. We can't seem to make an impression on the McLaren at the moment. Leclerc is still leading, but he is under pressure from Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. Verstappen down in P7, not scoring good points again here this afternoon. Remember, we've got a close title race here on this series. We've only just a couple of races left to go. This is the penultimate race weekend of the season. Hamilton looking for a move on Charles Leclerc. Norris in P3. That McLaren has got pace. Perez P5, Verstappen P7, and we are still right up the back of Oscar Piastri. Can we make a move possibly into this next? No. We are a little bit too far back, but we can't seem to get past the McLaren of Oscar Piastri. Lap 6, and we are still trying to chase down Oscar Piastri. We're pushing to the absolute limit here as we go into this right-hander. We are gaining, but then we lose the back end and we go skidding across the grass. Now, you can say this is styling it out. We do give all the positions back, it must be said, but we do gain a time penalty from that. I thought we styled it out beautifully, but gave the positions back. The FIA race control, you can see the back tyres now are practically dead, and that is going to lose us some serious positions with the grid so tight at this moment in time. Lap 6, P13, not looking good for us. And as we're coming towards the end on that same lap, we have a little bit of a wobble coming out of the final corner. And my God, look what's happening behind us, because not only have we got Valtteri Bottas, we've got Esteban Ocon on us as well. And as we come into the first chicane now, look at this. We have dropped a couple of positions. We could end up at the very back of the grid here. We are struggling with the tyres, struggling with the rears. We tried to get back at Esteban Ocon, can't quite get the job done. But really now we are resigned that we're going to be starting the back of this feature race tomorrow, as we see Valtteri Bottas going around the outside. Zhou Guan Yu trying to go around the outside. We're in pure defence mode. The tyres have gone off, and it's a struggle towards the end of the sprint race. At the front, Leclerc is still leading from Hamilton. Final lap of the sprint race. We're going to focus on the battle at the front. It's pretty much job done. We're in P15. We've got that time penalty, but Hamilton and Leclerc are going at it, and Lewis Hamilton has taken the lead on the last lap of the sprint race at this moment in time. We're going to ride on board with Hamilton, having a little look behind him here if we possibly can. And we'll ride on the cockpit view with him as well. But looking behind him, he's got Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris. They've kept him honest all afternoon. Can Lewis Hamilton get himself on pole position and win this sprint race here in Interlagos in Brazil? We can see Leclerc, he's been close, he's led for a fair amount of this Grand Prix, but Leclerc does just look a little bit too far back here as Lewis Hamilton gets a decent exit off that final corner. Lewis Hamilton is looking particularly strong for this championship. This will do him no harm at all with Verstappen down in P6, but Lewis Hamilton will come across the line to win the sprint race. Leclerc P2, Norris in P3, but then we have to go all the way back to us, and we can see us now coming around the final couple of corners onto this straight. We're going to get demoted badly here because of that penalty. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think? Do you think we styled that out pretty fairly enough? Do you think that we gave the positions back? Did it warrant that penalty? It wasn't intentional, I can assure you, skidding across the grid like that. But let's get to the final standings for the sprint race. So there we have it then, sprint race completed. Lewis Hamilton winning the Grand Prix from Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris in at P3, Russell P4, then come the two Red Bulls, Sainz, Alonso, Albon and Gasly making up the top 10. We finish in 20th after that 5-second penalty. We didn't corner cut, we styled out, which could have been a very catastrophic crash for us. Gave the positions back. I felt it were a little bit harsh, but that's the way it is. We will be starting at the back anyway. Ollie Caldwell in P18 manages to finish in front of us for the first time this season. So let's get to the grid for Sunday's feature race.
Well, Welcome along then to where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the very final corner. Just 1 year later, Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's time then for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the two DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Russell, Perez, Verstappen, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Gasly, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Bottas, Zhou, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Ollie Caldwell, De Vries, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Sargent and Lewis. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
Welcome to the grid here at Sao Paulo, the very back of the grid for this Manor Racing car today. But let's have a little look at the race strategy. I think we start on the softs, try and make as much ground up as we possibly can, then get onto the hard compounder tyre. I think that's the best way for us. Maybe have a little undercut as well, then go on to the medium compound. So that's the way we're going to do it. Let's see where we can go. Last to where? Who knows? Right then, guys, last to first challenge here for us at Brazil. Let's see what we can do here. 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go. Hamilton gets a decent start, as do we. We can see the Haas in front of us with Kevin Magnussen. We get a beautiful start. Down in to the first corner. Heavy on the brakes. We are conscious of making contact round the outside. Yuki Tsunoda is fighting with us, but Yuki Tsunoda had a little bit of a wobble. We were a little bit concerned we might get caught up in it, but straight away we are up into P19. We know from yesterday we had a little bit of a problem down this straight. Doesn't appear to be struggling at the start of this Grand Prix, so up into P19 for us. Not a bad start at all on lap 1. Hamilton leads from Russell. The gap is already 1.1 seconds. Hamilton looking in imperious form here. We know he likes it around this circuit, but he's definitely showing it on this game as well. We are just making another move round the outside, if we can get a decent camera angle of it, of Nick De Vries. Let's see if we can. We are going down the inside of Nick De Vries. Here we go. We're going to get a decent camera angle of it now. Love that camera angle, to be fair. Round the inside of Nick De Vries, and we're up into P18. We've already gained 4 positions on this first lap, and we're now looking to gain a couple more. We had a couple of battles with the Alfa Romeos yesterday, it must be said, and now we're right on the back of Zhou Guanyu. We're a bit concerned because Lance Stroll has got the pace in the Aston Martin. We shift to the outside. There's a battle going on in front between Stroll and, I believe that's Ollie Caldwell. Ollie Caldwell fighting with Lance Stroll. Zhou Guanyu cuts right across us. We cannot do anything about that. But let's have a little look at Ollie Caldwell fighting off an Aston Martin. Fair play to the Manor Racing second driver, because at the moment he's doing just enough to fight off Lance Stroll. He's defending for his life, and what this is allowing us to do is catch up with these guys in front. We're staying in the distance of Zhou Guanyu. Look how much we gain through this corner on the AI. We're looking to the inside. Can we possibly make a move down here? We chuck one down the inside of Zhou Guanyu. That will turn to the outside for this next little section. He just pushes us a little bit wide, but when we get on the power, Zhou Guanyu's nearly got it in front, but then we've got the inside again. We're heavy on the brakes, and then we get the job done up into P17 on lap 2. And the Lance Stroll, the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll, I should say, is next up, stuck behind the Manor Racing car of Ollie Caldwell. Do we think points is on today? I definitely think so, especially on this strategy. But as we come towards the end of lap 2, we're in P17. Hamilton leads, but Russell's closed the gap to just half a second. And coming on to lap 4, we have now gone for the overtake on Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll pushes us a little bit wide. We managed to get it stopped round the outside, try and get the power down, and we can see Lance Stroll's backed out of that. Doesn't want any issues there. And next up, we've not done this too much on this series. We're fighting Ollie Caldwell, but we can see Lance Stroll coming back at us with the DRS. We couldn't defend that. And now Strolley's back in front, the back side of that Aston Martin, giving us a little wiggle. But we are not managing to hold off these cars on the straights. Maybe it's a setup problem. We go a little bit wider there, try to dive to the inside, decide against it, and we are sat frustrated behind the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. Lap 5, and we have decided that our best place to overtake is in this middle sector. We chuck one to the inside of Stroll. I think we caught him a little bit unawares there. It's nice to see the two Manor Racing cars, by the way, not at the back of the grid. But we get the outside line into this. This will become the inside. And in Sector 2, we are looking in imperious form. I believe Ollie Caldwell's on the soft compound tyre as well. But we've got our teammate up next. And you can see we're practically pushing him through there. We are on the brakes nice and early, trying to get a better run than Ollie out of that final corner. We can see behind us, we've got Lance Stroll a little bit further back as we are really now attacking Ollie Caldwell. Let's see if we can make any moves into turn 1. I don't believe we're going to. We're a little bit too far back on this occasion, but we're up to P15. 14th and 15th for the Manor guys. Coming towards the end of lap 6, it's the two Manor Racing cars fighting, running side by side. We're going to get the inside line down into turn 1. And we are up into P14. Ollie Caldwell backs out of it a little bit as we come around that first chicane. And now we've got Valtteri Bottas in front of us. We did feel we were a little bit quicker than Ollie Caldwell. We are considering at the moment maybe boxing a little bit earlier. Possibly going onto the hard compounder tyre, but we'll let you know how that works out. But at this moment in time, we've got Bottas and Hülkenberg. Then there's a little bit of a gap to Piastri in P10, and Piastri is the man we are chasing down. Meanwhile, at the sharp end, Russell is leading Hamilton by 0.6 of a second. It's a Mercedes 1-2 in Brazil. Lap 10, and we are stuck in a little bit of a rut here behind the Alfa Romeo of Valtteri Bottas, and that has prompted a pit stop, an earlier pit stop than we thought. We're going to box early and go onto the hard compound of tyre. At least that's what we've set. Let's hope the guys have got the right tyre out. We've had some decent pit stops this season. Verstappen has DNF'd as well. So Max Verstappen out of the Grand Prix. That's huge in terms of the title. But we are out. We'll see if we can get a replay of what happened to Max Verstappen in a moment. But we're going to come out at the back of the grid on the hard compound tyre looking for the undercut. And we promise you a little highlight of what happened to Max Verstappen. And here it is, coming on to lap 8. Going around the first chicane, looks like his engine has just given way. And Max Verstappen retiring from the Grand Prix, as we saw. That has huge ramifications in terms of the championship. No safety car at this moment in time. He's managed to get it stopped near a service road. But that is a huge, huge disappointment for Max Verstappen. Coming on to lap 11, we've got a fair few cars in the pit. It wasn't the two or three lap undercut that we expected. As we come round the final couple of corners, we can see in front of us Valtteri Bottas. We managed to get past him. Alexander Albon, I imagine, is on the left-hand side coming out here as we rejoin, and Alexander Albon does manage to come out in front of us on the medium compounder tyre. Is that? Let's have a little look. It is. So Alexander Albon on the medium, we're on the hards, but our tyres are up to temperature. So we are going to now try and get past him as quick as we possibly can. And hopefully this undercut, like I said, can pull us up towards the points paying positions. We're quite comfortable on the hard compounder tyre. We don't think it's not a tyre that's served us badly throughout the season. And straight away you can see we're really attacking Alexander Albon here. P18 at the moment, just one DNF. And Checo Perez is leading, but Hamilton has pits as well. And just to check what's happening with Lewis Hamilton, he's now onto the medium compounder. Coming on to lap 12, you can see us fighting with Alexander Albon. If I get the cameras right, we are now fighting away with Alexander Albon. We are up into P13, but now will we come out near Oscar Piastri? Remember, Oscar Piastri was fighting for points earlier, and we can see Piastri in front of us now. So a little bit of work for us to do now to catch up with the Aussie driver. He is on the hard compounder tyre as well, so he's on the same tyre as us, but they will be fresher than ours. But like I said, they do take a little while to warm up, so we need to get up to him as quick as we possibly can. And by lap 14, we are on the back of Oscar Piastri, and we are on the back of the points paying positions. We've not had a disappointing weekend for a couple of races now. I'm hoping we can get some more points today. We are driving pretty well around here at this moment in time. But with 10 laps to go, it's going to be us versus Piastri again. Let me know, ladies and gentlemen, Oscar Piastri, we don't even know what team we're going to be next season. With all the deals and things to be going on behind the scenes, I doubt we're still going to be Manor Racing, and that'll all come at the end of the season. the information on that. But let me know, Oscar Piastri's been a fierce rival of ours this season, but the racing between us has been incredibly fair. Do you think that possibly we should be hiring Oscar Piastri or attempting to hire Oscar Piastri? Let me know down in the comments for your driver suggestions. But we're currently in P11, fighting with Oscar for P10. At the front, it's still Hamilton and Russell, but Hamilton just keeping Russell at bay at this moment in time. Lap 19, and you can see how terribly close we are matched, us and Oscar Piastri. By the way, how good does that McLaren look there? As we're coming through onto this start-finish straight. It's side by side between the McLaren and the Manor Racing car, but the McLaren gets in front of us, just has that better top speed. We have to brake early, we try and get the better exit, but the traction off that corner, Piastri's got it, we struggle, we make a little bit of a mistake. We can see Alonso in front as well. So there's so much to play for here for us. We've got a nice gap now between Albon. We're not looking in our rear view mirrors, we are only looking in front of us. We have another little moment, we are struggling a little bit in this sort of second third of this race at this moment in time. Piastri and Alonso in front, Ocon in front of them. Big gap towards his teammate Pierre Gasly. I wonder if Alpine will be switching him round like Gasly was so frustrated at in real life. But we're in P11 still, chasing down Piastri. And on lap 21, it's practically going to be 3 wide going into this corner. And we back out of it. We don't decide to go for it. Alonso maintains P9, but we jump up into P10, and Oscar Piastri backed out of that, and that has cost him a little bit. As you can see, we're pretty quick through this middle sector. It's been our sector all afternoon. We're really close to the back of Aston Martin, but up into P10. And that lasted for all of about a minute because Oscar Piastri is back past us again. At that speed, that DRS, we can't compete with the McLaren on this circuit. We have a terrible corner there, and that's put us really far back. Lap 22, we are going to struggle to win this battle with Piastri. And here we go then, last lap of the Grand Prix. It's Hamilton versus Russell, it's us versus Piastri and Alonso. Let's see what happens here. Lewis Hamilton is fighting with George Russell down this straight. And look at George Russell being so aggressive. We've seen this in real life. The two Mercedes fighting each other. And Lewis Hamilton is doing everything he possibly can. But George Russell's ahead. George Russell's ahead. Lewis Hamilton's lost his position. We're quickly going to flick back to us because we are now on the back of Fernando Alonso. Can we possibly get a move done on this final lap to get a point here for Manor Racing? We are doing our absolute utmost. We're not going to do it on this straight if we are going to get a chance. It's going to have to be down the middle sector. That's where we're going to manage to get the position. So let's have a little look at what happens here, because are we close enough? We are not close enough to Fernando to get a move done. It looks like it's job done for George Russell. He's 7/10 in front of Lewis Hamilton as we get a very strange camera angle there from the Manor Racing car. But we look for a little dive, but we don't want to be too kamikaze here. It's not left trashing the car. We've had a very good race and we will push it all the way to the line. George Russell is going to come across to finish. In fact, he already has done, so we're going to stick with this battle as we are burning all the DRS, using the DRS. But Fernando Alonso is going to maintain P10, and we're going to come across the line, the wooden spoon in P11. Disappointment, but let's get to those podium scenes. Two Mercedes drivers in the top 3. It's a big day in terms of the Constructors' title, and George Russell absolutely delighted with that, as are all the guys at Mercedes. Let's have a little look at the final standings. So there we have it then, guys. George Russell winning the race from Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc in P3. We finished in P11. Did everything we could, but couldn't possibly get a point on the day. Max Verstappen was the DNF. And when we go to the standings, that's going to make a massive difference because Lewis Hamilton has taken the lead of the driver's standings. Unbelievable scenes. Checo Perez in P2, Verstappen P3. It's going to go all the way down to the wire. We stay in P9, and also for the Constructors, Mercedes close the gap to just 19 points to Red Bull. We drop a position down to P7, Alpine overtaking us, but an interesting Grand Prix. Thoroughly enjoyed that weekend. Stick with us because it's going to be some finale to the end of this season. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra!